God. This fruit basket upset will enable religious leaders to insist on the creation of a crisis government to deal with God and His wrath, and bewildered politicians will have no options but to go along. Remember the panic statement? We must appease God through repentance and worship, or everyone will perish. As political leaders survey the global death and destruction caused by the first 4 trumpets, when they realize that God targeted places well known for wickedness, they will be willing to do whatever religious leaders think best. Once empowered and presuming to speak for God, religious leaders will attempt to appease God through the formation of a crisis government. And this crisis government will resemble something like the former Taliban government of Afghanistan. Sins of all kinds will be outlawed so that God won't be offended. Morality will be legislated, and offenders will be severely punished. All this to avert more of God's wrath. The creation and imposition of sinless laws will be the hallmark of the composite beast. So the rise of the composite beast in Revelation 13:1 through 4 should be understood within the context of the first 4 trumpets. Look at this picture. I have a little chart here, and you can see I have a green box representing the trumpets, and the first 4 trumpets are just 30 to 60 days. Boom, 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 boom. The total time of the Great Tribulation is 1,335 days. So here are the 7 first plagues, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 last plagues, the 7 bowls. And during the time of the 7 trumpets, the 2 witnesses, the 144,000, are speaking for God. Now, as a result of the first 4 trumpets, Babylon rises. Babylon is the crisis government. This is the composite beast that will have power for 42 months. 42 months fit very nicely within 1,335 days. And then at the 5th trumpet, we have the physical appearing of the devil, masquerading as God. This is the Antichrist, Lucifer, and then he establishes his 10 kings. So we have a period here of where the 7 heads are trying to appease God. The devil then appears, appoints 10 kings, and creates even a bigger rebellion, and Jesus comes at the end and destroys the whole thing. But in a block diagram, this is the big picture. Here's the 4th seal, destruction of 25% of the earth. Here's the 5th seal, the martyrdom of the saints, and here's the 6th seal, the second coming of Christ. I hope you can see. I want you to see how all of these pieces harmoniously line up. The composite beast will be a composite government. The composite beast will not arise from an existing nation. It rises from a sea of peoples, multitudes, and nations. Comes up out of the sea. And the waters, we know from Revelation 17, verse 15, represents peoples, multitudes, and nations. The composite beast will have 7 heads and 10 horns, 17 entities altogether. This beast does not yet exist. This beast rises to power after the earth helps the woman. And we know this beast rises after the French Revolution, because when this beast rises from the sea, one of the 7 heads had been healed. The 7 heads are 7 religious systems, and the head that was wounded is the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church was seriously wounded during the French Revolution, and only in recent years, largely due to the popularity of Pope John Paul II, who is now deceased, has the Church regained much of the influence and respect that it once enjoyed. The point here is that the deadly wound is not healed until the papacy once again has authority over nations as it did prior to its injury in 1798. Like the Taliban government, the composite beast will be a ruthless monster, driven by misguided religious zeal and false theology. The composite beast will persecute the saints of God for 42 months. And during this time, it will have authority over all 100% nations. And it will be destroyed by Jesus himself at the second coming. This beast is called Babylon because it will mirror ancient Babylon, both in arrogance and ignorance. Ironically, the composite beast will claim to speak for God, but it only blasphemes God and misrepresents God. Babylon has not yet formed, even though all of the players are present. But when fear of God's wrath is global, and hundreds and thousands of millions of people are dead, the political leaders of earth will turn to their religious leaders for instruction and direction to deal with God. Political leaders will ask their religious leaders, what does God want us to do? And religious leaders will say, we must immediately appease God through repentance and worship, or everyone will perish. In this vacuum of fear and uncertainty, the Roman Catholic Church will step forward with leadership and an elegant solution. The Pope will invite religious and political leaders from all over the world to a worldwide council, and at a minimum, 3 amazing decisions will come from this council that would otherwise be unthinkable. Number 1, given the religious diversity of mankind, and given the fact that there is one angry God, this council will unanimously agree that all nations must unite as one man to appease one God. This union will be possible because everyone will agree that certain principles of righteousness should be imposed upon the whole world. Amazingly, there are 2 principles upon which the diverse religions of the world agree. That is, repentance and the worship of God. These 2 principles will be adopted by this council as the basis for world unity and the appeasement of God. The second decision that will come out of this council is amazing, because everyone has observed that God's anger was directed at places that were well known for wickedness. Every nation will agree to begin legislating sinless laws so that the wrath of the Almighty might cease, that He might be appeased and His judgments end. Further, all nations will recognize that they cannot disregard this unified effort to appease God, or God's wrath will likely break out against the whole world once again. Therefore, the political leaders of every nation on earth will agree to abide by the directives of this new composite beast, this crisis government, which will be established for the single purpose of managing the current crisis between God and man. The third decision that will come out is this: the leaders of the world know that every government requires leadership. This council will therefore create an executive congress of religious leaders from all religions of the world. This Supreme Council will be something like the United Nations, except it will be religious in nature and far more powerful and effective. Now listen here. The Pope will be selected as the leader of this council. He will be given authority to oversee and direct the process of appeasing God on a global basis, and rightfully so. The Roman Catholic Church is uniquely prepared to serve the world in this role because it is both a spiritual and a political organization having diplomatic relations with more than 170 nations on earth. The Pope will not be elected to this position for the purpose of imposing Catholic doctrine.